Cool. What's up, everybody? Yo, this is Ness. Our guest today is
Arloblue, aka Arloblue.
Love that. Hey, yo, Arloblue. If you guys aren't familiar with who he is, this is the whole point or the objective of this artist. This little mini series that I'm doing of all the artists behind War Records. So Arloblue is a producer, and I met him through my good friend Caboose.
Yep.
You guys are probably familiar with Caboose. He used to rock with Syntax back in the day. He's still rocking to this day. And so anyways, Arlo, I know a little bit about you. I know our friendship is just starting to grow.
Yep.
I copped a few beats from you. That's how Caboose, when he introduced me to you, he said, "Hey, look, this is my boy. He's an amazing beat maker. Reach out to him. I think you're gonna like his sound." So I trusted Caboose. I hit you up. You sent me some dope beats, and I was like, "Wow!" Yeah. I copped like 3 of them. Dude, you're an amazing. From what I know, is you're an amazing producer, man. So,
thank you.
We want to just get to know just a little bit more about you, man, about who you are. You're with the War Records family, so I just want out there to know who Arloblue, the producer behind the War Records. So, Arlo, with that being said, man, give us a small, a brief history, bro. Your upbringing.
Okay.
Your upbringing. Where did you grow up? Your introduction to the faith. Your introduction to hip hop, and anything else in between, bro. Anything you want to share, bro? Go ahead.
All right. So grew up right out here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it is now a nice 40 degrees, rainy, and I grew up. I don't got no crazy stories of my childhood or nothing. I mean, we all do, but nothing like that determines huge faith changes and all that. But I was raised Roman Catholic. I came from a big Catholic family. And what I can say about that is it was wild as a kid, because I remember I have memories of a young kid like doing the Catholic thing. Like, I was an altar boy.
Okay.
We went to a Roman Catholic church, so Mass was in Latin. And I had to learn by age 10 I shouldn't say, I don't like to say I learned how to speak Latin, but I learned how to pray in Latin. Like I learned how to recite Latin prayers. That's probably the best way to do it. I was given a script and they said, learn it, but growing up Catholic, I always felt like doing the Catholic thing, that there was pieces missing to it, like things just weren't lining up. Like, I'm doing all this stuff, following all these rules, but there's something missing from it. And I remember having that thought at a young age. And so anyways, fast forward to junior high, I met a friend at school, and junior high was a rough time for me. I was one of those kids where like the nose outgrew everything else, and had big old glasses and stuff, and wore probably the same sweatsuit 5 days a week, and every junior high boy or whatever. And by the way, I'm 46, so that puts me back into the early 90s, right? Like 1990s. I met this kid who just befriended me, and he started hanging out with me, and great kid. And then I started hanging out at his house, and his house was, I would say, less chaotic as my house, because we had a lot of kids, and my parents were not well off, so like I was never able to do like music lessons or sports or anything like that. So I met this kid, and I picked up very early, like, oh, these guys are, in my junior high mind, I was like, these guys really practice their Catholic faith really well. It wasn't that they were Christians. I mean, Catholics can be Christians, but they were like practicing Bible believing Christians, and so just had this friendship with this dude, and that lasted to this day. And so he in junior high started witnessing to me, And I'd listen, you know, and I was getting what he was saying, but I didn't want to, you know, growing up Catholic, like I was taught Catholic was the only faith, you know, like anything outside of that, you know, you don't got a chance. So,
right.
So,
hey, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
So as far as Catholicism, I relate, here in Cali, you know, you know, obviously I'm Mexican family,
Yep.
you know, Mexicans, usually people are Catholic, right? Just by by tradition. So like growing up, like we were Catholic as well. Like our home was Catholic. We, as far as my household, like we didn't really practice the religion. Like we went Easter, we went, you know, every so often.
Yep.
We weren't really practicing Catholics. And I understood that from like a young age because I had cousins of mine that you know did the catechisms, did that whole thing.
Yep.
Like our family wasn't as invested, so we were just like Catholics by tradition. So I think in junior high, I remember I ran into a Christian kid and he asked me, he said, "Hey, what religion are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're just Catholic," you know. And I threw that out there just because we were just by tradition. I didn't know anything about you know Catholicism, the theology, right? Anything as far as like the liturgy or anything. As far as you, it sounded like you were a little bit more invested. Like, did you like like growing up as a Catholic in the church? Like, you're a little bit more invested? Did you understand like the deeper concepts as far as like their theology and whatnot?
Not as a kid, I didn't. So how invested was I? So every night before bed, the whole family kneeled around mom and dad's bed and we went through night prayers. Sometimes even did the rosary. I mean, I'm talking like my parents were Catholic, hardcore Catholic, you know. And I went to Catholic summer school, for crying out loud, you know, stuff like that. That was taught by the nuns, you know, which was, I have to say, was a blast. It was a good time. And so, I was very invested. We went every Sunday.
Okay.
And then, but like some of the teachings and the theology of Catholicism, I didn't start understanding until I was an adult because I still had this curiosity to why do Catholics pray to saints? You know, why do Catholics go to a priest for confession? Why, you know, like, and I mean, then you go into the Roman Catholic and you got much more crazy, strict traditions, you know, like my sisters could not enter that church if their dress was above their knees, you know, and they had to wear veils on their head.
Oh, okay.
You know, they had like, so
super
every Sunday, mom's bobby pinning the veil on the head, you know.
Wow.
You had to choose from the short one or the long one, you know. The sisters fought over it, you know.
I'm curious. Are you guys Irish or?
No, man. So dad is like French, Italian, Polish, and mom is German and English. So kind of a mixed bag.
I was just thinking just because of the Catholicism, because I know, you know.
Right.
But obviously it hits those cultures as well. Like, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So met the dude. He ministered to me. His family was just amazing to me. They kind of like, I just hung out there all the time. I was the only boy out of all these girls, so I didn't want to be home. You know, I wanted to hang out with boys, so I was always at friend's house, and his was the house I hung out at because his parents were very welcoming to me.
Was your Christian homie in junior high, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So fast forward to senior high, I started attending youth group with him, which was like, kind of rocked my parents' world. But you know, like my parents are like, well, he's not out doing drugs and breaking the law, so we're not going to say no to this. So I started joining youth group, and then I got connected with that youth pastor who really, I don't know, man, he just saw something in me and he just started working on me, you know, and really taught me about worth. My worth in Christ, you know, which I never had that. I never felt like, because I grew up in a big family, like I always struggled with that, you know, fitting in with all these girls and having worth. And
is that all you had, sisters? You just grew up with sisters?
All sisters, yeah.
How many of them?
3.
Okay, so
3 sisters and a mom, and yep. And then my dad worked like odd hours, so he wasn't home a lot, so it was like me and the girls, you know. So when I was home, I hid in my room and just listened to music all the time, and that's where my love of music started. My parents had an extensive record collection.
Dope.
And so I brought the turntable into my room.
Nice.
And I played records all the time.
Dope.
So,
what did you play back then?
What's that?
What do you recall? What kind of records you play?
Oh, dude, everything from the Beatles to the Who to it was all rock and roll. And,
right.
Rock and roll. My dad was a huge soul head, so tons of Motown.
Dope.
And then he also loved classic country, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash. So,
man.
So I very eclectic.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, just really at a young age, I was really listening to music and how it was written and made, and I just fell in love with that. You know.
That's dope.
So then junior high came around, and I started, you know, thinking that, you know, I ran the world, and and I ended up, I didn't do well in school. So I ended up like 3 months before my graduation, I dropped out of high school, and which it's something I don't throw out there too often. But it's a part of the testimony. And,
right.
And while I dropped out of school, a bunch of my friends went off to college. One weekend, I went out to one of my buddies' colleges and partied all weekend. And then I came home, and I had this Bible that this girl bought for me. It was just a NIV Bible, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't open it much. But I remember a buddy telling me one time, like, just read James, you know, and so I came home from this weekend of partying, and I was not feeling good about choices I made, you know, because going back to the Catholicism thing, I had a conscience. I had a really heavy conscience. Mm-hmm. So late that night, I sat down and I'm like, I'm going to read James. So I opened it up. I started reading James, and then everything that these people started telling me just started falling into place, and it fit that hole that I felt as a young kid. When I was telling you earlier about growing up Catholic, I always felt something was missing. Well, that piece that was missing started getting filled right there. Mm. And right there in my room, I just gave my life to the Lord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And ended up going back to high school, finishing the 3 credits I needed, got my diploma, and moved on with life. And so, and that's when I really discovered hip hop. Because all my friends are off at college now. I finally got my high school diploma. I didn't have any plans for the future, and I started just messing around with sounds on my computer. Like, I would back in the day, you could download like songs that were made all from like MIDI notes, mm-hmm. and I would throw them into software that would put them up on scores. And I would just look at how the music was written, and I would try to understand it and try to like decode it, because I don't know theory at all. I don't know anything music. And then I would buy sheet music. I would go to the music store and I'd buy sheet music for like Boys to Men, and then I'd sit and program the notes into this scoring software and try to like rewrite their music, but with different instruments. Uh-huh. So that was like my intro to production. Yeah. You know.
That's pretty neat, man. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And then during that time, my senior year of high school, I got hooked up with a b-boy crew. I was always enjoying hip hop, and my dad knew I liked hip hop, and he supported that because it was he. So my dad behind me here, when I was really young, he was a pro wrestler, so he understood the idea of having a dream. and going for it, right?
Yeah.
So when he saw that I had this passion for hip hop, he fed it. He would, like, my dad and my sister bought me my first hip hop CD or tape at the time, which was Beastie Boys' "License to Ill." Ooh. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. And so you know, they fed that, and then I got hooked up with a b-boy crew, and I became their popper. Yeah, I was a popper for many years. I was too tall to be a b-boy. Like, I'd end up kicking people and hurting myself because I just wasn't proportioned well for a good b-boy. So I just stuck with popping.
How tall are you, Arlo?
What's that?
How tall are you?
I am 6'2".
6'2". Yeah. I mean, I've seen tall b-boys though. They get down.
Yep.
But I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Sometimes
Yeah,
the popping looks a lot iller. You know what I mean?
way better.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I got into it, and then popping introduced me to so much music. You know,
it does. It really does.
so much. Well, b-boying period. It
Yeah, the
introduced me
dance,
to.
dance world. Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
the music that came out of my b-boy life was like the best inspiration
Yeah, dude.
for everything I do now, because I go back to that stuff, and that's what I'm looking at sampling and pulling sounds from and drums from and all that. So anyways, I got introduced to hip hop through, you know, just being supported through the family, and then through b-boying. And then our b-boy crew got pretty big. I was in a crew called Groove Nuts, which was, I would say, in Minneapolis, you had three big crews in the late 90s, early 2000. It was Groove Nuts, Battle Cats, and then Eternal Illusions. And we all kind of chilled together. And then one summer, we got asked to open for Rhymesayers every day of the state fair. And in Minnesota, the state fair is a huge deal. Everybody in Minnesota goes to the state fair. So that's how I got introduced to like Rhymesayers. And then I started learning more about underground hip hop.
Yeah.
And so I got really into underground hip hop.
That's where they're located, right? That's the right.
Yeah, they're from Minneapolis. Yep. They had a record store that we'd all go hang out at all the time. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, just real good memories from that time. And then I'm trying to think here. So Rhymesayers, and then so that was like the underground hip hop. And before this, I didn't know anything about Christian hip hop. You know, I didn't. The stuff that my Christian friends tried to show me, it was like, you know, I mean, just to be real, it was like DC Talk, you know, like right. And I wasn't feeling it, you know, because it wasn't Rhymesayers, you know,
I got you.
It wasn't that underground sound. And then I remember one time I was in Chicago visiting a buddy, and we were at a Christian bookstore because he went to Moody Bible Institute, and I was looking through their CDs, and I saw a CD that said it was called Sackcloth Fashion.
Okay.
And I was like, what's this? And so I went and I listened to it at their little kiosk thing, and I was like, yo, this is like stuff I like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started really seeking out Christian hip hop, because I mean, I was a Christian at the time, and I was listening to so much underground hip hop.
Yeah.
I knew that this stuff was going to feed better, right?
It just sort of resonated with your lifestyle, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I started listening to Sackcloth, and then through all the, like, this is during all like the internet forums and stuff, I got hooked up with Plastic from Sphere of Hip Hop.
Okay. And
he lives in Minnesota, and he was like, hey, do you know Luke from Sackcloth Fashion lives in Minnesota now? And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's looking to just hook up with some hip hop heads. And I was like,
is that
cool? And he gave me Luke's number.
My bad, I mean to interrupt you. Is that
No, it's good.
I'm not too familiar, dude. With, I know Sackcloth. Is that Luke Garrity?
Yeah, Luke Garrity.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So that's Man of War. I think he's connected with him. I think he's a pastor. I think he's one of my friends on Facebook.
Yeah, he's a pastor now. Yep, at a church in California. Yeah.
So who was part of Sackcloth? It was him. It was Max One, right?
It was Luke. It was Steve. What did you say?
Was it Max One or no?
Max One, yeah.
Max One, okay.
So Luke and Max One. I think they had a girl that was actually a part of their group that did a lot of singing on their tracks.
Yeah.
And then Tim did all their beats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I gotta go back and listen to something.
I know, it's good stuff, man. Like they wrote good songs. And so I started listening. I got connected with him, and he helped connect me with a lot of like underground Christian hip hop. And that's how I learned about like Plato and LA Symph.
Yeah.
And I mean, the list goes on, right? Oh, that's how I got hooked up with Caboose. So Caboose and I, we've been homies for like 20-something years.
Oh, that's cool.
And being we both live in Minnesota, we've always stayed connected. We talk probably once a week.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're real close. He, you know, support each other. We've watched each other get married, and I've watched him and have boys and have the kids grow up and all that. So and he's watched me get my kids and stuff. And yeah. So that kind of led me into the whole Christian hip hop world, right?
The whole world, yeah.
Yeah, and then I knew at that point, like, I wanted to make music, and I wanted to make music for the Lord, and I wanted it specifically in Christian hip hop, and I did work with, I did and will work with non-Christian artists, but
Yeah.
Man, I get picky. I'll tell dudes if they're gonna record on my music, like, I'm gonna challenge you, like, like, I want a good topic, and I have standards, so.
Yeah.
And if they're not cool with it, well, all rappers need beats, right?
No. Sure. That's an interesting conversation there in itself,
Yeah.
Because I know me, like, when I was just younger in my faith, man, like in my early 20s and stuff, I don't know, I went to like the super legalistic church or whatever.
Yeah.
So like at the time I would just listen to, I would listen to everything, bro, but I was like real deep into, like, I think in 04-ish, 04, 5, 6 was like that era for me. That was just like, Syntax. It was just all Christian hip hop. Like that's just, I bumped a bunch of cross movement. Like,
Yeah.
That was it for me, and it was a trip. Cause then after, it was kind of different for me, man. It's like, that's sort of, I don't know, man. Like, I've listened to other stuff when I was a kid, listen to Coolio, listen to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't really understand like that sound until I became a Christian, I guess, in my 20s. Then then I went back and like, then I became a student of the game. I was like, what? Like, everybody keeps talking about Nas's album, right?
Yeah.
Like, like Illmatic, and I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I've never heard it, right? So I went back, listened to, what I'm saying? After I was saved, I kind of went back and listened, and I was just like, wow, dude, like, I'm a late bloomer. like I caught on to stuff later. But as a as believers, I mean, what's your take on that, man? As far as I know, dudes collaborating with dudes that aren't saved. I know, what I'm saying, like, I guess where I was getting at, my bad, I kind of went off topic. Where I was getting at is that when I was younger, I wouldn't give that a chance whatsoever. It would be like, nah, bro, you got to be strictly like Christian. We had to, I had a high standard on that. And I guess later, dude, I kind of, got into the art form and sort of just kind of was like, well, yeah, I'm not going to get some dudes to get on the record and just, spit out a bunch of just blasphemies, right? Because that ain't right. But if I do, then it's going to kind of be on something that we can make happen and still kind of make listenable to both parties, right? Or to both fan bases, you can say. So I mean, what's your take on that, man?
So to go back to what I said earlier, I'll challenge an MC, like, give me a topic, write about it, and try to stay clean, and I say things like, I want my family to hear it, but I feel, like, I got a young daughter, like, I do filter what she listens to. So I've never had a rapper buck against that. I've always had them be real respectful, and I have been picky with who I've worked with, because you learn real quick who's going to be respectful and who's not, so working with non-believers, like, like, I've heard Propaganda jump on like Mur's album, but I've heard stories, I don't know if they're true, but I heard stories that he got the opportunity to share the gospel with them, and there was fruits from that. And if that's true, well, then he's doing this for ministry, like, his heart's in the right place. And I think if our heart's in the right place, like, another good example, Caboose had Royce the 5'9".
5'9", yep.
And so one weekend Caboose was staying here, and I asked him about that, like, so tell me about this. Like, you pick a dude who's a really, really, really good MC.
Yeah.
But clearly does not rap any of our lifestyle, raps a lifestyle that we got away from.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel about that? And he said pretty much the exact same thing I did. He said, I first called him, introduced myself, we got connected.
Mm-hmm.
I told him I want to do a verse, but I let him know right away, I'm a Christian rapper, and if you do this, I'm going to ask you to be clean and respectful. And he said Royce was super cool about it. And then he said, after the song was done, I called him back and I said, one of the reasons I wanted to connect with you is because I do want to let you know that God loves you. And he actually got to share the gospel with Royce. And it's like, all right, man, that's cool. That's what we should be doing. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, we got to be out there
for sure
using our gifts to minister to the non-believers. And but of course, you wouldn't have a MC on your album dropping cuss words. You know what I mean? Like you'll have standards and if I got to leave the judgment up to the artist. I can't say.
I got you. I did on my project. I had a guest on there, and Afro. Which Motion Plus is I believe Afro's producing his album or something like that.
I can't remember if he produced all of it or a good chunk of it or
So I reached out to him, dude, during the pandemic. And I reached out to him. I was like, "Yo, what's up, man?" I was like, "I'm doing this song," and then I hit a Man of War. So Man of War is actually the first one on that song. It's called Post Tenebris Lux, right after Darkness Light on the Providence album I dropped in 2021. And so Man of War is on that. Afro's on that. I'm on that. And and that's what that's kind of like the guideline I gave Afro. Like, I'm like, hey, bro, like, I don't want to limit your creativity, and I don't want to be a dictator either. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be that guy, right? But I did want to make it clear, like, yo, dude, like, this is what I do. Like, yo, I spit, I'm an MC, but I spit faith, man. And it's and I think on the recording, bro, he actually dropped something on there.
Oh, word.
Yeah, and I had to get back, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, he said, well, you could just bleep it or whatever, which I could have, but I just didn't really. I'm like, to me, it's like, if you're gonna just say it. If not, just don't. And I was just kind of like, well, dude, I was like, I mean, I guess I could do that, but if you could change it, it'd be dope, So he had to re-record just that portion where he says something, mother, and then he changes it up if you listen to the song. But yeah, man, I think that's the important thing. And I think too, man, as far as like, I guess I have no issue with that. And like you said, bro, just as long as the gospel, as long as the whole mission is to reach out to them people. I just feel like as Christian MCs, man, I think the landscape has shifted, bro. I think that the spotlight has it's changed drastically, man. Where before, Christian hip hop, or if you're anyone from the faith, bro, spitting, like, you were looked at as corny or whatever. Like, I hear numerous times, bro, where I hear it in the song, various MCs, bro. I've heard it from Nas. I heard it from M. A lot of their songs, like, I think M does a diss. He says something. I would have been before I do such and such. I'd be. He's like, I would have just been a gospel rapper, right, or something, dude. Like, something. His whole simile on that track is just dissing it, and then other ones just dissing it. And I find it strange, bro. I'm like, well, look at a lot of the hip hop heads, especially in New York, Philly area. A lot of them cats are like 5%ers.
Yeah.
And they're Muslims, right? Yeah. And a lot of them, I mean, that's their faith, man. We're talking Talib, we're talking Mos Def, we're talking KRS. I mean, we're talking on and on, bro. And all these like Muslims, like, MCs and whatnot that, proclaim the Muslim faith. They, in a sense, man, I guess it's harder for a person to put a spotlight on them and be like, nah, bro, like, those dudes are corny because they're Muslim. Like, you don't really hear that. You don't really see that narrative.
No.
And even though it's a monotheistic faith, right? It's one of the great three, right? Which would be, Judaism, Christianity, Islam is what people know as, right? So monotheistic faith, one God. Okay, so, but the thing is, I'm like, well, you're either of the world or you're not. And as far as like what I hear in their music, I mean, dude, I'm hearing F-bombs, I'm hearing all kinds of things, and it's no differentiation from their faith and how the world is. Or how their environment is. Whereas Christian, like a Christian, well-versed Christian MC because, there's cats that call themselves Christian MCs or whatever, bro. They're MCs, a Christian, whatever. And a lot of them aren't really familiar, man, with the word. They're just more this, and then their music is at the same time. And I'm not saying that you got to be a Christian MC, you got to say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in every song. But my whole thing is like there has to be purpose of why you're doing it. There has to be a sense of identity, you know, with your faith, and that usually it's conveyed through the music. You know, it's easily conveyed. And so I kind of started looking at that, man, on how different artists are treated, you know, different demographics because of their faith. Like there's a bias there, bro. Whereas Christianity is like, yo, it's like these cats are corny. Why? Well, why? Well, because we talk about the Lord. We talk about the Christian faith. We talk about
we bring hope.
Right. Well, there's real. We're talking about real change. We're challenging the narrative of drugs in the street. We're challenging the narrative of
violence towards women and
towards women. It's that, you know, the whole thing, dude. We're challenging that. We're standing and we're saying, nah, man, we're different. Like, nah, man, this life is, you know, has a different purpose. God created us for a different purpose, right? Whereas like the cats on the other side, there's none of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I'm Muslim, this and that. I celebrate my black lineage, which is cool. You can be happy who you are, but not your identity. But it's almost like a like idolatry, yo, in the way that they portray it. So I don't know, man. That's just my 2 cents on that. I just kind of you know, wanted to pick your brain about it.
Yeah, that is it. You know, like the reason they don't get the pushback like a full on Christian rapper would, you know, and I'll use the big term Christian rapper to separate it. Is because that they are going to release music that does glorify the world, and then that's when everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're still, you know what I mean? Like,
I know for sure.
And that's why I give so many props to Christian MCs, because it's like, man, you can hold a standard. You can set a standard for yourself and stick there and not sway from that.
Right.
And not fear, especially I know Christian rappers who are, I mean, I could list them, who are not afraid to promote that they're Christian rappers, to set the standard in their music and never sway from it, and really not care what any other MC, Christian or not, would have to say about them. They're doing it for the ministry. They're doing it for the music. They're doing it for the passion of the culture. So
yeah. And dude, a lot of Christian MCs right now are like really, really ill, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, the landscape is changing, bro. Like now, you know, our faith, bro, isn't as it was before. Like you mentioned, like when you first listen to Christian hip hop, you're like, yeah, this ain't my cup of tea. Like, bro, like we got, I mean, like you said, bro, like Plato, that's his old name, new name Crumb. Like,
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a Plato head, man. I know he has a new name, but it was Plato forever. Hey, did I tell you that dude got to stay at my house?
No way, did he?
Yeah. So when I was b-boying, we had this production company that threw b-boy events, and we had a b-boy event called Falling with Style, and we did it for 4 years. And the very last year, we wanted a music artist, and all of us guys who did the event, we were Christians, and we used it to minister to b-boys. And I was like, yo, I wonder if I could get Plato. And so I emailed him like just off the wall, and I'm like, yo, here's the deal. And I explained what we do, you know, and I said, I can't pay you, but I'll pay you for your plane ticket to Minneapolis and back home. And he emailed me back and he's like, sign me up. And I'm like, you cool sleeping in my son's bed? And he's like, yeah, all good, man. And so, yeah, we got to kick it for a weekend, dude.
That's dope.
Yeah.
When was that?
What's that?
When was that?
That was like 2000. It was around 2007, 2009.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He was having a lot of music drop around that time too.
It was right when he dropped the Hot Doggin'.
Okay, the
stuff.
Hot Doggin'. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a dope album. Yeah. Like he's one of them, bro. There's a lot of others, man. Like
so many.
A lot of dudes, and I think Plato's just more on the hip hop tip, more on the lyricism. Like he makes faith here and there, which is dope, which I'm fine with, man. Like there's other dudes like Shylin who are, you know, lyrical theology, right? That are a little deeper. Like my squad, Coram Deo, like we put the faith in there.
Yep.
And I mean, even the name, man, you know what I'm saying? Just living before the face of God. And
Yep.
and so I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got Andy Mineo, right? Who's like well respected and like even
Man,
regular circles, dude.
dude, I saw Andy's live show.
Nasty.
Off the wall, dude. I saw him in Propaganda here in Minneapolis, and I mean, Prop had like everyone in the crowd in tears, like with how just beautiful his delivery and music is. And then Andy came out and threw a party, dude. like his live show
he's dope, man.
Off.
He's dope.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, like
and I wasn't a huge fan before I saw the show, and then after I saw the show, I was like, "Yo,
yeah." Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Because all the Reach guys, bro, I haven't like when I was like my younger days, I was like, listening to Lecrae a little bit,
yeah,
like Trip Lee a little bit, but it was like, dude, I was more on the underground tip, man.
Oh yeah,
it was just the era where I was like, bro, like I don't care about like the popular stuff, right? The mainstream sound, like no, I care about the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? So that was my But later, bro, when I got a little older, I started listening Andy Mineo, and I was like, dude, this dude's ill. Yeah, it's not crazy undergroundish, but the dude can spit. Dudes are ill, bro. The beats are hard. You know what I mean? I'm not really, I don't know, Lecrae's cool. I'm not really too into it. Never really happened. Dayton's another guy, man. Dayton's another dude in the scene. That whole Menace, the whole God Over guys. I mean, dude, the whole scene right now, bro, just hip hop in general is just, I mean, it's got a lot of talent, a lot of dudes that are standing out, even among secular circles. You know what I mean? They're kind of paying a little bit more attention now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if I could say one thing, like if I could pick one thing for the CHH, the Christian hip hop community to work on, is with each other, because we still see camps, we still have War Records and Menace and I just want to see all these artists supporting each other,
Nah, man.
Like you and I had this discussion once, like, right? You and I had this discussion about like we're in one camp, and that's the kingdom of God, and then we just got to be supporting each other. And I still see and have witnessed and experienced myself still some division between these, whatever you want to call them, collective label camps,
I understand, bro. And I'm like, and I don't, I'm not a dude that just reaches out to people. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I have or whatever, but I don't, I'm with you, man. Like, I think that people should just, I have no problem. I don't have no issues with no one. You know what I mean? I just, and I think sometimes too, people can have a presupposition of someone or a movement because kind of, they were used to a certain pattern of a person, or they were done a certain way before. So they kind of carry that same bias towards the person that they perceive, right? Or that they meet, or whatever, that they haven't met yet, dude. And it's like, someone could think something of Arlo, someone could think something of me. And nah, bro, that's not me. That's not us. Like, dude, you reach out, dude, anyone who ever reaches out to me, bro, like I've always reached out back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, who am I, bro? I'm nothing but, I'm nothing but you know what I mean? Like a piece of dirt, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say the numbers of my listens.
Yeah, man.
I'm just an artist. That's what I do it for. I like to make music.
And I think too, Arlo, I think when you're younger too, I think when we're all younger, we have those illusions, those fantasies of like such and such, and I don't know, man. That was never really me, anyways, dude. I've always done it just because I just love the craft. I enjoy what I do and stuff, and I still do it for that same purpose, man. It isn't like we do this. Why? Well, I want the people that are watching to get to know the people, man. We're humans, man. We're just real human beings, bro, and just being sanctified by the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? And He's doing a work in our lives, and that's who we are, man. And I think that when you become like this untouchable, or when you become like this figure, it's like, nah, man, always humble yourself. Always remember that you're just a sinner saved by grace.
Yeah.
That's it.
Man, it is discouraging. I've reached out to a few people who have bigger names, more just to introduce myself and stuff, and got nothing back. And I'm a producer. Yeah, I would love to produce for a lot of people and all that. But when you get treated like that, that's really, really disheartening, and it's discouraging. But at the same time, like, I just remind myself what I'm doing it for. Is it to get value from artists, or keep my value in Christ?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know what my value in Christ is, and that's so much more important than
no better feeling than that. No better.
Anyone here on earth. So you know, I'm 46. I don't got time to mess around with, oh, does that dude like me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just move on. You know, I got my homies, and anyone who knows me. I like to branch out. I like to meet people. I like to work with people. I like to make music with and for people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not hard to approach, you know. But you know, I'll just keep making music, man.
For sure. So Arlo, we covered like you coming to Christ. We covered introduction to hip hop. So we covered just some different things. Your dad was a wrestler. That's super ill.
Yeah,
that's all I did growing up, bro. Watch wrestling, bro.
Same, man. I had to.
Dude, I would have enjoyed that, dude. Because man, me and my brother, bro, in our living room, it'd just be wrestling matches, bro, all day. Yeah. It was sick, dude. So, anyways, I grew up in that era. You know what I mean? Hogan, bro, just you know, Rey Mysterio, obviously.
Dude,
awesome. What's his name? What's the dude, bro? The Giant, but before him, I kind of
Andre the Giant.
Andre, I kind of missed out on him, but like, I got like the end of it. But yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was the Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, you know, match. That was my childhood, man.
Yeah, you see,
my dad would take me to those matches. He knew those guys, so I got to meet some of them, and you know, and like. Jesse Ventura was our governor for 4 years, so you know,
he's a
Jesse Ventura was in the hospital just down the road for cancer. My dad's like, "Yo, let's go visit Jay." And I was like, "What'd you call him?" He's like, "Nah, he'll know who I am."
Hey, what was your dad? What did he go by?
He was an AWA.
Okay,
and this was before WWF's WWC and all that. So he was an AWA, and he was. They called him his real name is French, and it's hard to pronounce. So he looks very Italian. So he went by Tony Gartinia. My last name is Gurton.
Okay.
But he went by Tony Gartinia. He switched it to sound more Italian. and it's funny because I have a jacket over here. I think it's here where it says Italian Stallion on it. And he had that before Rocky ever came out.
Oh yeah, he's the original. He is the
original.
Rocky was a biter.
Oh, dude, straight up. I'm waiting for royalties, bro.
Dude, that's super dope, man. That's super dope, dude. I'm just a fan of wrestling, so I'm like, dang, that's freaking awesome, man.
My son and I, dude, I love pulling up old matches and watching it with him.
Oh yeah, dude, I still watch them, dude. Like even when I'm flipping through channels, like I'll just like chill on there. And I know, I know it's fake, and I know.
Oh yeah,
the whole story,
100%.
But it's still like it's that kid in you that's like, no, this is real.
Well, and they're athletes, dude.
Well, they are athletes.
What they're doing. I don't care if it's fake or not. Exactly. What they're doing is real as far as athleticism. You know.
I remember Vader being in a show, and then some dude telling him like, "Oh, this is fake" or whatever, and then Vader grabs that dude by like his throat or something, bro, but like his shirt. And just, I don't know, he jacks him up, but I was like, dang, he was serious. You know what I mean? Like Vader at that point in time was like, bro, is that fake? Because this is actually like, there's this narrative story or whatever that we got here. You know, it's entertainment, but this is real. This is real stuff.
Bro, every one of my sister's boyfriends, my dad put over his head at one point.
Wow, that's
and one of them blew fire in his face. Like he did everything he could to intimidate any boy that came over to our house. It's
hilarious.
So many stories. Like my dad was nuts, dude. I have a quick story. I had this dude at my house, and we were wrestling in the front yard, and of course my dad's gonna come out. and I told the dude, like, my dad was a pro wrestler, and I was in junior high, right? And the kid starts going, "Oh, that's all fake. That's all fake." My dad pulls a knife out of his pocket, slashes his forehead,
What?
punches it so the blood, and he goes, "Is this fake? Is this?"
Oh snap, dude!
And the kid just runs home. And like 4 years later, a bunch of us were gonna go hang out at my house, and the kid's like, "I'm not going to his house. His dad's nuts."
That dude's a lunatic, yo.
But it's so funny because my dad was a softie at his funeral. Like the theme was a teddy bear wrapped in barbed wire. That was my dad. Like he was a softie. He had girls, dude. Like you can't. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be a dope album cover for you.
Dude,
like the barbed wire teddy bear.
I've been wanting to get like another tattoo of that, like just for just to.
Gotta get with an ill graphic designer, you know what I mean? And have like your logo. That's ill. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. And I think that represents too, man, just like us Christians. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like really like we're about it, but through the grace of Christ. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's not, we're not called to just be, I love that metaphor, man. That barbed wire teddy bear.
Yeah. Well, and I, we're called to be meek, but we're also we're not called to be pushovers either.
Right.
We have to be bold in faith.
Right. Yep.
That's
a good balance. That's a really good balance. Yeah.
I got plugged this iPad in.
No, I got you. Yeah, man. So, for the next 10 minutes or so, Arlo, I know our other interview with Proclaim and Absent Minded kind of went a little too long.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to do that again, or at least try not to. If it has to, then it has to. But try to respect people's time. But okay, so is there anything that sort of left out, man? I know that you're mentioning like you're coming to the faith. I think that would be kind of cool if you want to wrap it up with that. Like when you kind of started again, man, just sort of understanding maybe the theology, sort of walking, and like maybe even discuss how after you became a believer, how music became a part. I know you covered a little bit of that, but if you got a little bit more, that'd be dope.
Man, I always tell, like, I had to speak one time at a junior high event, right? And I had no idea what I was going to speak about. I don't have any theology background or school or nothing like that. Mm-hmm. And I felt the Lord just saying, like, try to find parallels between hip hop culture and Christianity. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to go with that. And like what I can tell people is, I found an identity when I got connected with the hip hop culture. But then when I met Christ, I found life, and like they both of them gave me confidence, identity, purpose, all that stuff. But, one's eternal and one's not. Yeah. And so just involving my faith, and as a producer, I'm not putting messages in my beats or nothing. I'm working with artists who that's what they're doing with their lyrics. But I have gotten the opportunity to use it to share my faith, at work. People find out that I make music, and they're like, oh, what do you make music for? And I say, oh, I'm primarily, I produce hip hop music, and like that raises eyebrows right there. A 46-year-old man, family man making hip hop music. You start to see their wheels turn, and then I start showing them the music, and then I start explaining, and it's gotten as deep as, how did you get to that point? And okay, here we go. Here's my testimony. So
that's dope.
Yeah,
it's great, dude. So so what do you use to make beats, man?
I got a lot of tools. I like to sample. If you can see a record collection back there. I love to sample off of vinyl. If I don't use, I get this question a lot. If I use sample packs, I don't. And the reason I don't is I'm too cheap. I don't want to pay for them. I mean, really, like I got records. I have enough music knowledge to find music to sample. So a lot of producers will rag on me for this, but I will sample YouTube if I hear something that's dope. It's just another tool in the tool belt, right?
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So as far as like software, I do everything first in Machine. So I sequence in Machine, and then I export all stems out of Machine into Studio One, and that's where I do all my mixing, mastering, EQing, all the engineering pieces of it. I do that all in Studio One, and so yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
But yeah, I love using my ambient, like, just shut off here. I love using synths. I love bringing synths into my work. I love using virtual instruments. You'll hear a lot of string arrangements, and that goes back to my love for hearing how music is made. My family always laughs at me. My wife will be in the car and we'll be listening to some old music, and like just a chord progression or a string sequence under the main vocals or whatever catches me, and I'm like, whoa. And then I'm like rewinding the music. You gotta hear that. And she's like, just let the song play. But my ear picks it, and so I love, like, if you hear strings in my music, I wrote those strings, I wrote those parts, because I love doing that. I'm not like, I have 10-minute beats. I have 1 hour beats. A lot of my beats I've probably spent days on, because I love arranging. It's just so fun to me. I love, and like I said, I don't know theory. It's just doing it by ear. My ear picks it up. I have a it's a blessing and a curse. I have a great ear for tempo.
Okay.
And hearing when things are out of tempo. And man, I'll tell you what, rappers get so annoyed with me because they'll be over recording and I'm like, you're off beat. And they're like, I'm not off beat. And I'm like, well, you're a little off beat. And if you're not on beat, it creates a lot of work for me. So rap on beat, like, I can fix it. I can fix it.
Do cats go over your studio and record?
Not like they used to. Not since I had kids, man.
Okay, got you.
And so before you really started recording across the internet, I would have guys over all the time recording. And then when we had kids, it just stopped because it interrupts family time and all that stuff. And now with the internet, I can email you something and send you the link, and
I was gonna say, I picked through your IG, listening to some of your beats and stuff like that, and I seen you got a boy, right?
Yeah.
With special needs.
Yep.
Yeah, I seen him, man, and I'm like, dude, like my heart melted, bro. Just looking at him, you know what I mean? Just him.
Yeah.
Like my brother-in-law, he's got cerebral palsy, so it's like,
okay,
that's my wife's brother, so it's like, I'm familiar, you know what I mean? Just with, and then my aunt has has another special needs child, and I think his Down syndrome. So dude, how, I know my mother-in-law, I know her, it's been, my brother-in-law been with her for 31 years, 31 already. So it's been a challenge for her. Dude, how has it been? Just that in general, man. And what can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I always have stories. My son is 28 years old. We adopted him when he was 12.
Okay.
I used to teach special ed before I got into IT. And he was in my classroom, and just out of respect for different pieces of this story, things happened and he got removed from his home.
Okay.
And my wife and I didn't have kids at the time, so we were asked to foster him. And so the day we were asked to foster him, we told the social worker, like, oh yeah, we got to pray about it. And that was right before church. We walked into church and the pastor spoke on the scripture about taking care of widows and orphans.
Yeah.
And we're like, really? Like, okay, Lord, we got it. We got it.
We got the sign.
Yeah. So we walk out of church. We called the social worker back, and we're like, yeah, we'll do it. And so that's how we got introduced. Well, I knew him from work, but that's how he came to us. We fostered him for 2 years, and then ended up going to court for him. because they were going to send him back home, and we just didn't feel like that was safe and okay. So we went to court, and we went through the battle, and we ended up winning the case, and got to adopt him. And so
Cool, man.
and so both of my kids are adopted. Yeah, our daughter, we were in the delivery room with the birth mom and the birth dad for her, which is, dude, that's a crazy story. And if you want me to take time to share it, I will, but it's got God's hand over it.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Share if you're down for it. If you're
real quick about my son, though, he has Down syndrome. He is a light of, just a beacon of joy.
Yeah, man. It looks like it. I can see it in his face, man.
Dude, you can't have a bad day with him. And like when my dad passed away, that kid clung to me. Like he knew something was up, so he's just a joy. Like I learn how to love through him.
That's awesome.
Because his love is either he'll love you or he won't. There's no faking it. It is 100% sincere. Yeah.
You don't play around.
So no, he won't. Yeah. And so my daughter, so my wife and I, we weren't able to have kids. And we never went and seek the medical route to why.
Okay.
We just understood and trusted like this is what God wanted. So after we adopted our son, a few years later, I was connected. I've been in a bunch of bands, and one of the bands I was in, I met this guy who was like a songwriter, music producer, and he and I really clicked. And so I became friends with him. Him and his girlfriend got pregnant. And so story is my wife and I were in a Bible study, and we had just had a miscarriage. So we're dealing with that.
Okay.
We're in the Bible study, and two of the couples announced that they're pregnant. Right. And so we leave the Bible study, and we're driving home, and I asked my wife, like, how are you doing with that? And she's like, I'm fine. And I was like, oh, okay. And she asked me, how are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm struggling a little, you know how badly I want to have kids, and and my wife, who's just a rock in faith and matter of fact, she was like, well, have you been praying about it? And I said, no, not really. And she goes, well, then don't complain about it. And I was like, okay. So then that was like the end of the conversation. We got home, went to bed. Next day, so that's Wednesday. Okay. There's reasons I'm pointing days out right now.
All right.
That's Wednesday.
Okay.
Thursday, I'm driving to work, and I'm having it out with the Lord. And I'm saying, like, Lord, you know the desires of my heart. You know how badly I want to have kids. Mm-hmm. Like, what's going on? Like, either open the door or clearly shut it, and and so that's Thursday on the way to work. Friday, I get a phone call from this guy that I know, the songwriter, and he's like, I'm not messing around. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, my girlfriend's pregnant and we can't keep it. Do you want the baby? And I'm like, what? Like, you have no idea my past 2 days, and now I'm getting this call from you. And I said, well, I got to go home. I got to talk to my wife about it. She's like, all right, call me back. Like, I felt like I just got asked to sleep over at his house, right? Mm-hmm. And so I can't even wait till I get home. I call my wife, and I'm like, hey, I just got a call from Jeff, and he wants to know if we want to adopt his baby that's not born yet. And she's like, well, let's talk to the birth mom first, his girlfriend. So we invite him over, and so they come over, and we're like, we need to know if this is legit real. And they said, yeah, it's real. And we said, okay, we're going to talk to some people we trust who've been through the process. And so that was Saturday. We call some pastors and all that, and we get some good wisdom, and we say, yeah, we're going to do this, right? So then we call them and say, yeah, we're going to do it. And then they said, okay, well, the baby's not due for 2 weeks. And we're like, oh, that's soon.
Uh-huh.
and so I go, so then Sunday we tell my family and her family. Monday I go to work. I tell my boss, hey, we're my wife and I are going through a real quick adoption. I'm going to have to take time off. And he goes, okay, what's the timeline? I said, in about 2 weeks. And he goes, all right, we can work around that. That was 8 a.m. I called the lawyers, get that process going. And the lawyer goes, oh, we got 2 weeks. We're good. And that was 9 a.m. 11 a.m. birth dad calls me back and he goes, well, I got good news and bad news. And I'm like, well, this is about a baby. I don't want bad news. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, the good news is we don't know what the sex is still. So you get to pick both boy and girl names. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I go, well, what's the bad news? And he goes, they're going to induce her tomorrow. And I'm like, you're telling me that tomorrow night I'm going to be a dad?
I'm going to be
And he's like, yeah, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I call the lawyer back and things just go into chaos mode, right? Mm-hmm. I call the boss and I'm like, I got to go home. It's happening tomorrow, you know, and all this.
Yeah.
So that's Monday. Tuesday, we go to the hospital. My daughter pops out at 5 p.m. And now we're talking, this is Tuesday after that Wednesday.
Yeah. When he
conversation with my wife, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then we, you know, we get to come home. So while the mom's delivering the baby, we're signing papers on her stomach. And the nurse was one of those notarizers. She's notarizing it. And then the nurse drives it to the courthouse so we could leave the hospital with the baby. So then Thursday we were able to go home with the baby. Thursday. So in less than a week of praying about it, God was like, fine. So yeah, man.
Dude, that's wild. So
and then we
had a quick
we had people call us after that. We had my mom call and said that even before we announced it, she had a dream that we were going to have a baby.
Oh wow!
And then the birth dad, mom had a dream that he was giving the baby to a guy named John, and she had never met me before. So like, there was so much confirmation.
Wow.
From the Lord in that situation that we know 100% that.
No, for sure.
The timeline, everything was all the Lord's word.
And this is your daughter, right?
Yeah, and she's now 11. So
11. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's like, you know what? Like the word says, all things work for the good, right? Those who love him and are called according to his purpose, right? Romans 8:28. Yep. And it's like, man, dude, I'm like, dude, that's exactly right. Like,
yep.
Yeah, here's a situation where, you know, again, you and your wife, you know, whatever it was, you guys weren't able to have children, but the Lord had the Lord, right? But the Lord, right? And that, dude, I think that's wonderful because I'm all for that, man. People that adopt and because I met, you know, 3 couples, man, in my lifetime that weren't able to have kids, dude. It's weird every single time we met them, and for some reason, bro, like I don't know, it's weird. Like then after they're able to have kids.
Yeah.
Like every single one, dude. I'm like, wow, dude, like that came true to them. That's awesome. And I'm like, but you know, Absent was one of them. I remember I went to Man of War's wedding, and me and my wife were sitting there, and we had to bring our daughter with us because our first daughter, she was only like a year and a half or so. We couldn't leave her, and no kids at the wedding. I didn't read the memo, but anyway, I brought her with me, and it was a joy because the whole party had to blast my daughter. You know, she was
that's cool.
Dancing her the night off, but anyways, Absent was there. That's when I met him at Man of War's wedding night, and we were in the same table. And I remember his wife looking at my daughter Jem, and she's just like, just looking at her, dude. Yeah. And I didn't know. I'm like, oh, do you guys have any kids? And they're like, oh, no, we don't have any kids. Oh, I was like, okay, are you guys planning? Are you guys planning on having kids? Because I noticed just her look towards my daughter. You know what I mean? Like I noticed that loving desire, bro, of like wanting a child. And and she's like, yeah, we just haven't been able to, you know. And dude, sure enough, man, like down the road, bro, like the Lord just does a work, dude. And they have their boy, you know. And to me, that was like the greatest joy. I'm like, because I remember that night, and I said something where I'm like, I felt bad, like I was just like, oh, like I was like, I forgot what I said, bro, but I felt bad. I was like, dang, dude, just meeting absent-minded that night, and I came off like that, and I didn't mean to, you know, that whole awkward situation. And so, anyways, when I heard that, dude, I was like, man, God's amazing. That's great that he does that. But those, you know, those are the stories where he does. But in your case, Arlo, that didn't happen. Like what happened with you guys, it wasn't any less either.
No.
It's a whole plan of God, man.
Yeah.
And
It's a different story.
and you guys are making a difference in your boy's life, dude, and in your daughter's, man. And
Yeah.
now they're privileged to have that life of having parents, man. And
Yeah.
to me, that's amazing, dude. That to me, that's amazing grace, bro. To me,
Man.
that's the story of our salvation. That's the story of like, hey, we were separated from God, but yet he adopted us through
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The doctrine of adoption, man, where Christ
Yeah.
comes and he restores us and he adopts us, right? Because we're broken off. And
Yeah.
that's a wonderful like analogy there, metaphor. You guys stepping into your lives, you know?
My daughter has said multiple times, my daughter has, at age 11, she's got incredible empathy, and that's because she grew up with a brother with special needs. She has incredible faith too. And she has said multiple times, she goes, because adoption has been regular vocabulary in our house since she was born. So we've never kept it from her. Yeah. And she has said over and over again, she goes, I don't doubt that God wanted me with you guys ever. She goes, it is, she goes, I know deep in my heart that this is where I'm supposed to be. That's
awesome, man.
And for an 11-year-old to tell me that,
that's awesome.
I mean, as a dad, like that's probably the first time I've shared that without losing it. Like talk about knowing he is real and he does hear our hearts and he does love us enough that he'll bless us with those desires.
Right.
That, and then to have my 11-year-old confirm it,
right.
It's just wonderful,
Yeah, man. That's just great stuff, dude. That's just really great stuff. Cause I mean, to me, it's like, man, dude, that's the heart of God. That's the heart of God, man. When we do that, that's really the heart of our Lord, man, is again, man, just a story of the redemption of sinners. It's the same concept, man. And it's like he stoops down to us, the sinners that are separated from him, but yet rescues us and adopts us back to that.
And it's not to stoop and put a finger in our face. It's to scoop us up and love us, and
to show, and obviously too, like in the all-knowing God, in the mind of the all-knowing God, I mean, the whole purpose of the story of redemption is for us creatures to understand that, right? That's the story of creation, right? The fall and salvation, right? So the Lord, that's the greatest story ever told. You know what I mean? And I think that your daughter, your son, them being an embodiment of that, them being a product of that, man. It resonates with them a lot more closer, and that's what I've noticed. People that have certain circumstances or certain situations that happen, experiences that happen in their life, they're a little bit more. How could I say, man? Their senses are a little bit more, sensible to that. And that's the privilege that they have. It's like, man, dude, here it goes, like us, but yet here we are, my mom and my father, and they love us like they're real. You know what I mean?
And you want to know how early God started on that? My mom, when we adopted my son, my mom told me a story that when I was in 3rd grade, my teacher was teaching a lesson on special needs.
Okay.
So she brought families in who had babies who had Down syndrome. And my mom said, I came home from school that day and I told her, Mom, I really want a Down syndrome baby.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm in 3rd grade, right?
Wow.
But like, look at me now, how many years later, and I'm raising a son with Down syndrome. Like, he knew, like,
right.
It was a legit, like, I guess in 3rd grade, I wasn't playing around.
Yeah, man.
I don't know, but like, it's when I heard that story, man, I just went, wow.
And God, and God is omniscient. He's all knowing. So, for me to have my kids, that was his plan. For you to have yours in that form, it was his plan. And I'm like, dude, that's just wonderful, bro. And it's no any less or anything, dude. It's all through the grace of God. You know what I mean? And it's all. It's just a beautiful thing, man. It's just wonderful, man. Thank you for sharing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah, man.
Yo, Arlo, I know you got to work tomorrow. I'm going to a thing tonight, man. I think we got a lot more things to talk about. But
I would love to.
We might have to do a take two on that.
Right.
So, but
hey, can I share two good pieces of news?
Oh yes, please. Thank you for reminding me.
First piece of news is did some work in the background and got the approval to assist with releasing War Records music, so we can start getting music docked up for releases through Syntax Creative, which is a huge praise God. And yeah, dude, I'm so jacked. And so I was in the system today trying to learn it, and I'm probably going to reach out to like Caboose to help me out with all that stuff. The second piece was I was dropping my daughter off at youth group tonight, and I get a text, and I see it in my watch real quick, and I thought it was you, and it just said, "What's good, bro?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll respond to this later, like when I get home, right?"
Yeah.
And then I looked a little harder, and it said Sam, and I was like, "What?" So I got hit up by Manowar tonight. He reached out, and
So
man, I'll tell you the joy that just hit my heart to see a message come from him. Like, I just feel like a chunk of
yeah, man.
how do I explain it? There's just been something missing since Sam went into the hospital.
I know.
And to see that text come through blessed me beyond belief. And we had a little conversation, and he, and he's one of the last things he said was, "I'm gonna bust out of this place." And I said, "Yo, I got a team of homies that are gonna help you, bro." So
we gotta pull up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So he's joking around, man, and he said that he is struggling to reach out to everybody. I'm sure there's some limitations and stuff, but I have a feeling we're gonna start hearing from him more. So,
yo, Sam, I'm gonna purposely edit this snippet that way you see it. And
yeah,
just want to tell you, man, that we love you, bro. And we're praying.
We love you, bro,
and we stand with you, brother. And we know that you're recovering. And me and Arlo, man, and all the rest of the World Record squad and the brothers, bro, we're just trying to do what we can do, man, and just be faithful. And this is one of the formats, man. After what happened, bro, we figured, you know what, we have to kind of get the news out through this medium. So that's what we're doing, man. So we want to just say we love you, bro. We love you, and we're continuing to pray for you. And don't worry, man. Whenever we talk, we talk. Right now, you got to recover. Don't bust out. We're gonna leave you.
That's what I told him. I said, bro, we're being patient. You take care of yourself. We're being patient. So, because he was like, I'm still in the hospital. I'm like, yep, we know. I said, your wife's keeping us up to date real good. So you just keep getting better. And man, in all honesty, this is what Sam would do for us. So, without a doubt, he would do it for us.
So, just be on the lookout, man. War Records has a lot of music. We ever since the stroke, Sam got the stroke and has kind of been going through this struggle. We joined me and Arlo and all the other guys, bro. We put a project together. It's in the works right now, but that's going to be part of the War Records fam. Part of the releases. We got a lot of other things. I know Arlo has a lot of things in the work. A lot of beats and a lot of things in the works, man.
Yeah, I got the stuff I've released on Instagram. Like life's busy with the kids and stuff. I could probably post a couple videos a week with the stuff I'm making. I just don't have time to promote it all. So if you're looking for beats, reach out.
Yo, Arlo, if you play something, throw on a beat real quick. Show them what you got, man. Show them what you got.
Let's see here.
This dude right here is disgusting with it.
Oh, I gotta pull up the other computer.
Oh, okay. If possible,
that'd be dope. It'll just take a second,
and then we'll close it at that, man. We'll just bang out a beat real quick.
Yeah. Well, of course, things want to be finicky on us.
Yo, to those watching, this is Arloblue. He's part of the War Records fam. He's a producer. He's a beat maker. He's a father. He's a believer. He's a hip hop head. He's in Minneapolis. You're in Minneapolis, right? Minnesota?
Yeah.
Minnesota, out there with the homie Caboose, the brother Caboose. They're out there where it's 40 degrees?
Yeah, right now it is 40 degrees, man.
So dang, dude, it's freezing Out here, I think it's like 60 or something. So.
Oh, 1 second here. Let me
Yeah.
make sure this is the right one.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So real quick, Arlo's about to throw on a beat, and we're gonna close it out, y'all. We thank you guys for sticking with us, and we'll see you on the next Behind
Alrighty.
the Artist series.
Ready?
Let's do it. Woo.
Forgot this was the long intro.
Yo, so this beat is part of the project.
Yep.
I know, because I'm on it. That's Dirt's part. Dirt from Shadow the Locust. Hey, yo, Proclaim knows the concept for this song, and he was like, "Yo, we can be like cowboys in the West."
Yeah, do that. It's coming from being raised from a daddy love classic country, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, at first I was like, "Nah, Pro, like I don't really dig that concept, yo." And then me, Dirt, and Sam Ox and Proclaim, we had this text thread, bro, and like Dirt's crazy, yo. He's like, "Yo, we can do this, and that." Dude, the text thread was freaking hilarious, yo. That just kind of
funny, dude.
It drew me in. I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's rock with it. Let's do it. So, anyways, the concept of the joint is fresh, bro. It's super fresh. At first, I wasn't digging it, but after that text thread and kind of, getting convinced, I was like, yeah, I'll rock with it. Let's do it. So, anyways, man, love that beat, dude. You want to throw one more? One more?
Oh, let's see here.
Show the people what you got, Arlo.
Boy. Here we go. Here's a new one. No one's heard this except for there's somebody on War Records that is going to spit to it. I won't say who.
Okay.
But somebody is going to spit to it. So I'll play this one here.
Let's do it. I like that. That's a hook.
Yeah.
I like that change up. Clean.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. Well, thank you, Arlo. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your story, bro. I know there's a whole lot more you can say. I think we just got like 10%.
God is good, bro. God is good.
But all right, man. We're gonna let it go at that, Arlo. I'll let you go, and then we'll see you on the next one, man. God bless you, brother.
Sounds good, brother. God bless you too, bro.
All right, brother. Peace.
Peace.